And we're back. Here is the latest update for the Customer Experience World Games 2022, hashtag CXWG 2022. And I am Neal Topf. I am the host of these occasional updates and live sessions that we are doing. And I am joined by two very important members of the CX World Games, judges Annika Björck and Adrian Swinscoe. And we're going to discuss a couple of just simple updates and their thoughts on where we're at and where we're going moving forward. Annika, it's wonderful to see you. Adrian as well. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
For those that may not be familiar with the work that the two of you do, my recommendation to the audience, if you're listening and you have not consumed their content, consume their content. These are thought leaders. These are practitioners. These are very creative, important people in our global CX community, and I absolutely encourage you to read their things and consume their content. Annika, specifically, if I can ask you just for a very short summary, what do you do in the CX world for those that may not yet be familiar with your work?
I'm a CX coach. So what I do is I support CX teams and CX manager from the background so that they are successful implementing customer experience management in their company. So instead of being a consultant going in and doing the job for them, I support them from day one so that they are successful, and that is, makes them successful on a sustainable way. And I also put courses and toolkits into the CX Hero School just to put out the knowledge, the practical knowledge that is so much needed in the CX community. We do a lot of philosophical discussions, which I enjoy, but we also need the practical side.
And this is not your first involvement in the CX World Games. You have been a leader previously, correct?
I've been involved from day one. I was a player in the first year, a captain last year, and then judge this year. Amazing progression, and a natural progression at that. Thank you so much for what you do and for being involved. It's wonderful to have you back again with us. Thank you.
Adrian, same questions for you. For those that may not be familiar with your brilliant work, tell us about what you do and a little bit about your involvement in the CX World Games, please.
Crumbs, brilliant work. Blimey, that's no pressure then. So I guess I'm an advocate and an agitator for basically better outcomes. The thing I'm really interested in is how do we build, create, nurture, develop organizations that produce better outcomes for both their customers and their people. And I do that in a number of different kind of ways. One is I do a lot of writing and researching on that. So whether it's writing books or articles or podcasts, all that type of stuff. But that's kind of almost just thinking out loud in public in many ways. But the way I kind of engage with people directly is I do advisory work where I help companies address, solve, think about, navigate kind of problems they might have in the service and experience space. I do some capacity building around running workshops or training programs for other organizations. And then I do a lot of advocacy work, or whether that's talking at conferences or webinars, that type of stuff, all about trying to get people to think differently, do better thinking, and all in service of trying to deliver those better outcomes. So that's what I do. I mean, in terms of my involvement with the CX World Games, it evolved right from the beginning. I was a captain to start with, and actually I was a winning captain, and so I retired kind of at the top of the podium and went, not doing that ever again, because I was going to go out on a high. But I was just there to help guide and facilitate the team the wonderful team that I was able to kind of work with to a bit of success, and they did some brilliant work, and I think this is a fabulous initiative. And when it came around again, I didn't really have the time to actually get involved as a captain, and also I didn't want to kind of lower my average, as it were. So I decided I was going to become a judge, and so I've been happily kind of judging away in the background, throwing in my two penneth here and there. And I just want to celebrate yourself, Christopher, Rodrigo, and all the team behind the CX kind of World Games, because I think it's a really, really fantastic initiative that does great work.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being both of you for being such an important part this year as judges. So where we're at right now, I think everyone should be aware. Each team has now formally made their submission of the first round. Each team has now, I believe, received the documentation and written materials for the second round, for the second challenge, which is really exciting. By the way, last week, it was Thursday, we introduced the second challenge. We showed the video of the organization that will be receiving the tips and ideas, and it is a brilliant organization. So we look forward to really great things moving forward. By the way, we also just have two quick guests. I will recognize Benson, who says, glad to join as a fellow judge. Benson, it's nice to see you. There you are. There's his message just popped up. Thank you so much for joining us. And Rob Murphy, hi everyone, go team CX Top Guns. I will echo that. Go CX team Top Guns. Excellent to have you both with us. So as we move to the second challenge, Adrian and Annika, just some thoughts on maybe what you have seen, what you think you will see moving forward, and maybe just some tips to the players and captains as they now work on their second submission. My guess is like the teams are now starting to get a little bit of a groove and some chemistry within them. They're understanding who's maybe good at what and who they can count on for what. But I'm so curious from both of your experiences, what recommendations would you give to the players and captains of the teams? And Annika, you can lead with that one.
Okay, good. I'll go ahead then. Well, two things that come to my mind. One is what I think is most important is practicability. Like the ideas and things and submission, what is important is that it is practical, because we're talking about organizations that don't have huge amount of resources and huge amount of time. They have so many other things on their plate that they want and need to take forward. So the things that they get have to be easy to put in place, easy to understand, and kind of have to take account of a bit the broader perspective, the broader ecosystem. Like if I take the first challenge, it's not just about all those information that are lacking in the entire process. That's the main issue. But it's not just women fleeing the country, it's children too. What about them? I remember seeing on the news that some people put little stuffed animals on a bridge from Ukraine to Poland so that the children leaving with probably nothing had this wonderful experience going over the bridge and getting a new little, stuffed friend in this entire so dreadful journey that they were having. So it's not just about the moms and grandmothers and women trying to find their way to a train station, to the next country, to the information that they need. There's other people involved. And I encourage the captains and the teams to just think of the bit broader ecosystem about the people that are involved, and to make that a holistic, good journey, and not just to solve the primary goal and question and problem that the organization have.
Excellent points. Thank you so much. Practicality. Be practical. Adrian, how about you?
So I'm sort of I haven't really jumped into the kind of the judging of the challenges kind of as yet. I'm sort of just dipped my toe in the water, as it were. But if I have a reflection on what I saw last year, and the thing I would say to teams going forward is, I mean, a couple of things. First of all, it's almost like building on what Annika said about she talked about practicality. I would also say to talk about simplicity, because this stuff needs to be easy to implement, but also simple to understand. And I saw too many submissions kind of last year that was just like, and more and more and more and more stuff. And it was a bit like, I think about the recipients. If I was the recipient, you're a bit like, you almost get this dossier and you're like, what? Where do I start, as it were? So almost like think about the user experience of the organization or the customer experience of the organization that's receiving the documentation, not just about the people that you're trying to serve. So it's like a multiple stages. There's multiple users, multiple customers, multiple experiences. So that's one thing. And the other thing I would say is take your time up front to understand the problem. Don't jump to the fix. Don't be a tool head. It's like slow down, and because I know we all have this tendency to want to go, oh, it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this. And you'll start doing, oh, it's a survey, or it's a journey map, or it's kind of this, or it's that, or it's a mobile app, or all these different sort of things. And then you end up with this mishmash of stuff. What I would encourage people to do is to stop and take a moment, and then to generate a shared understanding of what you think the problem is that you're solving. Because that investment in time up front will almost always lead to a better understanding, and then a better designed solution or proposal going kind of forward. So in the midst of all the maelstrom, try and take a moment, be patient, take some time to understand what you're trying to do, and to generate that collective shared understanding.
I think both you and Annika are saying the same thing. Be practical. I love the addition. Don't be a tool head. That's a great expression for this. Don't rush to create a so-called solution. Slow down, breathe, meditate a little bit maybe, and then start to address.
If I may add, sorry, Neal. I saw that last year too, the understanding. I want to emphasize that it's so important, the common understanding, because you won't be able to all work at the same time during the week or weeks of the challenge. And the only way that is going to work out, that you take change in what are you doing and what are you working on, especially if you're different time zones, which was a huge topic last year, is to have that common understanding. If you don't, then some people are just going to go another direction. And at the end, you have a solution that is like, jigsaw that has to be put together just before you're handing in the solution of your challenge. And that's going to be another hours or many hours that you have to invest just to get that fixed. So yeah, just
not only hours invested to fix it, to get it submitted, but also hours to, I think, read, digest, and evaluate. If you are the judges, if you're Annika or Adrian, be sensitive and be kind to your judges. Don't give them the dossier of this. Maybe it's give them this one that's much more simplified, correct?
Yeah. And I mean, as Adrian was saying, the user experience, the people getting it, they need to put it in place. If it's so complex, set it up, explain it the way that you would explain it to someone that has no clue about CX. It's not about convincing the judges. It's about convincing the people that need to use it and put it in place.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a good point, right? The people that are ultimately in charge of implementing these things, they are probably not experts in CX. We in this community think we are experts. We know a lot about this. This is our day-to-day work. But the ones on the front lines in these organizations, you're right, they are not experts necessarily in CX.
Yeah.
Neal, can I make a point? It's almost like, I don't know if it's a metaphor or an analogy, but it's a bit like, imagine you get an instruction guide for a piece of equipment, and you might end up with this. Here's the instruction manual. It's yay thick, but it'll also come with a quick start guide, which is quite visual, kind of clear, kind of steps. This is the things that you need to know to get going. It's almost like thinking about it that way is almost a bit like, how do you get people going? Because if you generate the momentum and you start to generate those kind of those outcomes, or and people start to build confidence in the solution that you're proposing, then you're more likely to drive the outcomes, so that deliver the outcomes that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I was thinking, exactly. The IKEA, that maybe the so-called the dumbed down version, the idiot's guide, as we say over here, but not being disrespectful, but something that's more simple to understand and to implement.
Yeah, and just don't overuse the typical CX jargon and words. A few weeks back, or maybe it's even months, I put online a CX bingo, like the typical 12 words that we keep on using. It's like, we know them, but the people implementing it, they don't. So just don't use them.
Avoid them. We have two other comments. Michael Brandt, welcome. Michael, glad to be here. Also, as a first-time judge, very interested to hear the take of my esteemed judge colleagues. Michael, it's great to have you. Thank you. We're going to hopefully have a time scheduled to have you on here as well. And Corey Klein Goldbaum. Corey is from my team, by the way, in Callzilla, and building out the infrastructure as much as possible. Way to go, Corey. Those are good points as well. Audience, if you have any final questions or comments, please post them in because we're about to wrap up. You have going once, going twice. I'll give you another moment to send something in if you are so inclined to do so. And if not, we're going to let Annika and Adrian have their day back to them. They have a lot of work to do in their CX lives as well as their judging lives. So we're going to let them have their time. Teams, best of luck to you in your work on your second submission. We will certainly be cheering you on. We're applauding. We're holding banners and things, and we're excited to see what you come up with. And please take these ideas that Adrian and Annika have shared with us: simplicity, sensitivity to who the reader is and their level of expertise, sensitivity on the judges of not giving them this, but maybe this, and stay away from those buzzwords. We don't want any of those 12 buzzwords from Annika's CX jargon bingo game. We want to stay away from those as best as possible. Adrian, Annika, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to the CX World Games. We're thrilled to have you be part of this again. And this is not the last time we're going to have you back, but we look forward to maintaining the dialogue. Thank you so much. And as always, Christopher Brooks, who is with us in the background, you just don't see him right now. We give him a huge round of applause and congratulations, and thank you to his for his leadership and creativity in putting these CX World Games together. Exactly, Christopher, you are the leader of this and deserve so much credit for what you're doing. And I know you don't do it for that reason, that purpose, but we're really grateful for getting all of us in the same room together and working on these projects. And Rodrigo, who's behind the scenes of making this broadcast possible. Rodrigo, thank you. Audience, thank you for your time. We look forward to everyone participating and continuing to put together brilliant work. Annika, Adrian, have a wonderful day. Audience, thank you so much.
Thank you.